Who was King Arthur? Was he a real king who united Britain against Saxon invaders? Or is he merely a legend, a romantic hero dreamed up by medieval storytellers? For centuries, this question has captivated historians, archaeologists, and dreamers alike. Today, we're going on a quest, not for the Holy Grail, but for the truth behind the once and future king. The story we all know is epic. The sword and the stone, the wise wizard Merlin, the noble knights of the Round Table, the magnificent Camelot, and the tragic love triangle between Arthur, Lancelot, and Guinevere. These tales, filled with chivalry, magic, and adventure, were largely popularized in the 12th century by writers like Geoffrey of Monmouth. His History of the Kings of Britain was a medieval bestseller, but historians today view it more as historical fiction than actual fact. It was a brilliant piece of writing that gave Britain a heroic founding story, but it wasn't based on solid evidence. So, if Geoffrey of Monmouth embellished the story, where did he get the idea from? Let's travel back further, to the chaos of post-Roman Britain in the 5th and 6th centuries. The Romans had left, and the island was fractured, facing waves of invading Anglo-Saxons. It was a dark age, literally, as written records are incredibly scarce. But it's in this murky period that we find the first whispers of a great leader. One of the earliest sources is a 6th century monk named Gildas. He wrote of a major victory for the Britons against the Saxons at the Battle of Mount Badon. Gildas doesn't name the British commander, but he praises him as a formidable warrior who rallied his people. A few centuries later, a Welsh historian named Nennius, in his History of the Britons, lists 12 battles fought by a legendary war leader. And his name? Arthur. Nennius describes Arthur not as a king, but as a dux bellorum, a leader of battles, fighting alongside the kings of the Britons. This is our first concrete link. He might have been a Roman-British officer, holding the line against the invaders using Roman military tactics. His name, Artorius, is a Roman family name, which lends weight to this theory. He wouldn't have been a king in a golden crown, but a gritty, battle-hardened commander, a beacon of hope in a collapsing world. The legend of a national hero was born from the memory of this real resistance. So what about all the iconic elements of the legend? Where did they come from? The Round Table, for example, first appears in a poem by a writer named Wace. It was a clever symbol of equality among Arthur's knights, a revolutionary idea for a time of strict social hierarchy. Camelot, the glorious castle, was likely an invention of French poet Chrétien de Troyes in the late 12th century. He was the one who introduced the character of Lancelot and the concept of courtly love, adding a layer of romance that would define the legend for generations. And the sword in the stone, Excalibur? This famous motif actually combines two different stories. In some early tales, Arthur pulls a sword from a stone to prove his right to be king. In others, he receives a magical sword named Excalibur from the mystical Lady of the Lake. Over time, storytellers merged these two powerful images into one. Each new author added their own flair, their own characters, and their own moral lessons, building the complex tapestry we know today. Archaeologists have searched for physical evidence of Arthur's existence for decades. Tintagel Castle in Cornwall, with its dramatic clifftop location, has long been associated with Arthur's birth. Excavations there in the 1990s uncovered a slate inscribed with the name Artugnu, an older form of Arthur. Was this a direct link? Probably not. But it does prove that the name Arthur was in use in that region during the right time period. Similarly, Glastonbury Abbey was claimed by medieval monks to be the mythical Isle of Avalon, Arthur's final resting place. They even discovered a grave they claimed held the remains of Arthur and Guinevere. Today, most scholars believe this was a fundraising stunt by the monks to attract pilgrims after a fire destroyed their abbey. So, while we may never find a historical document that says Arthur, King of Britain, Signed here. The evidence points to a compelling conclusion. The legend of King Arthur is likely a magnificent fusion of historical reality and literary invention. At its core, there may have been a real British war leader, a figure of resistance who fought against the encroaching darkness. His memory was kept alive in folklore and poetry. Over the centuries, this seed of truth was nurtured by the imaginations of countless storytellers. They transformed a gritty warlord into a shining king, a symbol of justice, unity, and an idealized past. They gave him a code of chivalry, a magical sword, and a perfect kingdom. Arthur became more than a man, an idea of a golden age, a dream of a just and noble world that could be, if only we were brave enough to fight for it. The quest for the historical Arthur is, in many ways, a reflection of our own desire for heroes. We look to the past for figures who embody our best ideals. Whether he was a real king or a product of myth, Arthur's power lies in the story itself. It's a story that has adapted and evolved for over 1,000 years, speaking to each new generation about courage, leadership, and the eternal struggle between order and chaos. And that's why, after all this time, we are still fascinated by him. The legend of King Arthur isn't just about a king who might have lived. It's about the kingdom he represents in our hearts. A symbol of hope that even in the darkest of times, a leader can rise and a better world is possible.